Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Games Workshop announced a new combat patrol for the Salamanders, and like I did with the other Space Marine combat patrols, I would like to use this opportunity to share with all of you my first impressions and my opinion about this new combat patrol. Again, I would like to repeat that this is just my opinion, so obviously I invite you to let me know in the comments what you think about this new box. And I think that the best way to start is by checking the contents. So if we buy the new Salamanders Combat Patrol, we are going to get a unit of 5 Assault Intercessors. That in the image that I put here, there's 10 of them, but that's why if we want to buy the Assault Intercessors individually, we're getting 10 of them. So basically, inside of the new Salamanders Combat Patrol, we're getting half of that box. A unit of 3 Eradicators, awesome looking Space Marines wearing Gravis armor, and they have melta rifles, so they are super cool. We also get an Inferno Squad consisting in 10 Space Marines carrying Pyre Blasters. Then we also get an Invader ATV, a nice centerpiece in the way of a vehicle for this combat patrol. And finally, leading this combat patrol, we have Adrax Agathon, an awesome looking Salamanders miniature. Now that we check the contents, and before I go any further with my opinion about this combat patrol, I would like to mention something very important, and it's the same thing that I say all the time. I don't care at all how these miniatures perform in game right now, because the game is changing and evolving all the time. Because of that, I'm just going to focus on the combat patrol. I will judge this box by its content and I will judge the miniatures by themselves. Personally, I consider the new Salamanders Combat Patrol as a good combat patrol and a very good Salamanders Combat Patrol. We have one character plus 4 different units, which feels great to say, and it's not only that, it's also like we have a lot of Space Marines inside of this combat patrol, which again feels great, and it's not only just pure infantry, we also have a nice centerpiece in the way of that vehicle right there. Even if we don't want to start collecting Salamanders, this combat patrol is still valid, because that character, even if it's unique for the Salamanders, I have to say that I consider that it's quite easy to turn this character into some generic captain or some lieutenant. Anyway, let's take a look at each unit individually, because like that is going to be better. Let's start with Inferno Squad. We have 10 Space Marines with Pyre Blasters. That I have to say that for me this suits perfectly in a Salamander army. Even if they are quite easy to get at the moment, because the Inferno Squad is part of the starter sets of the current edition of Warhammer 40k. Still, on those starter sets we have only 5 of them. I have to admit that even if they are quite easy to get because they are like everywhere, having a unit of 10 inside of a Salamanders Combat Patrol to me feels great, because if I was like collecting Salamanders, I would want to have for sure even more than 10, so I'm happy to see this unit here. I think that it fits quite nicely in the theme of this combat patrol. And here it's important to mention that the Inferno Squad, they are push-fit, easy to build miniatures. Because of that, they are quite monopose. There's only assembling options for one of them, the rest of them they are going to be duplicates of each other. Let's now talk about those Assault Intercessors. I like Assault Intercessors a lot. I think that it's a super cool kit with a lot of different options and customization choices for us, so that's always great. The thing that I dislike the most about this combat patrol is that in this image we cannot see a Pyre Pistol on the Sergeant, and it's like, why they didn't put a Pyre Pistol on the Sergeant? It would be like awesome. It's like, there's one in the kit, why not? But anyway, that's my personal preference. I think that it will suit much better to have the Sergeant with a Pyre Pistol. But still, it's a super cool kit. There's like a lot of different options for those miniatures, there's a lot of different poses, they are quite fun to assemble and paint, so I'm happy with them. Recently I was assembling some of them, so I think that is a very nice choice for this combat patrol, and especially having in mind that almost everything else is like a range miniature. It feels good to have something for close combat, so I'm not going to complain about this choice for this combat patrol. We have a unit of 3 Eradicators. I love Eradicators, I think that they are super cool. Here we have 3 of them with those melta rifles as a heavy support for this combat patrol. Basically this combat patrol is just flamers and meltas, and that's awesome. It should be like that for the Salamanders. This is what I think about when I think of them, so I'm very happy about these Eradicators. I really like them. Here I cannot judge because I personally love Eradicators. I mean, that name by itself, it's like awesome, and I mean I like a lot Gravis armor. I like it a lot, I like how it looks. But among all the Gravis miniatures, the ones that I think that look the best are the Eradicators. They feel really good, and I think that they are a perfect choice for a Salamanders Combat Patrol. Here we have a vehicle that also acts as a centerpiece of this Combat Patrol. We have an Invader ATV. This is a very specific miniature because I know that there's a lot of people that don't like it at all. I know there's people that really like it. So yes, it's a very specific miniature. And here I also have to say that it's a push fit miniature as well. So there's not that many options. It's just an easy to build monopose miniature. I think it doesn't matter that much because we have like a driver and a vehicle and a gunner on top. So the only choice that we can do is like to choose the weapon that we want. Of course we want the Melta, especially if we are having Salamanders Combat Patrol. But still, I think it's not that bad in this case because there's only like one of it. We're not get a duplicate of it, so it's nice. It's a nice push fit miniatures and also acts as a nice centerpiece for this Combat Patrol. Even if we don't love this vehicle, I think that it suits nicely this Combat Patrol. We have a multi-melta on top of it, and I don't know, I think it's okay. Especially because, for example, I don't like it that much. It's not the type of vehicle that I would love to get. But if I wanted to start collecting Salamanders right now and I see this Combat Patrol, I will be like, okay, I like everything and I could get this vehicle, I don't mind at all, because if it's a part of a Combat Patrol, for me it's okay. Finally, leading this Combat Patrol, we have an awesome looking, unique name character for the Salamanders. I know that usually people don't like when there's a named character inside of a Combat Patrol, but in this specific case, I want to see unique things of the Salamanders inside of Salamander Combat Patrol. It's the same thing that I said with the White Scars Combat Patrol when I made a video talking about it. I'm happy to see something unique for the White Scars inside of the White Scars Combat Patrol, and again I'm happy to see a unique character for the Salamanders inside of the Salamanders Combat Patrol. I'm aware that having a named character inside of a Combat Patrol, it's not an incentive for some people that will want to buy a Combat Patrol twice, or for some people that will want to get these miniatures for a different chapter. But still, I think that it's not bad, and as I said previously at the beginning of the video, this is a character that I consider that it's quite easy to keep bashing to something different, like for example Lieutenant or Captain or something. Before I go any further, I would like to say the same thing that I say all the time and I repeat always, and is that the best thing about a Combat Patrol is the discount. It is much cheaper to buy a Combat Patrol rather than buying each unit individually. But it is very important for us to want each miniature inside of a Combat Patrol, because if we buy miniatures that we don't want just because they are discounted, are we really saving money? My opinion about this Combat Patrol is very positive. Like, honestly, if right now I wanted to start collecting Salamanders and I see this Combat Patrol, for me it will be like perfect. So I guess that for new players, because let's remember that Combat Patrols are supposed to be the best way to start a new army. So if I was starting a new army and it was the Salamanders and I see this Combat Patrol, I will be like, I want everything inside of this Combat Patrol. Unique name character of the Salamanders, perfect. Inferno Squad, perfect. Assault Intercessors, 5 of them, they are always welcome. It's a nice unit, so I'm okay with it. I will be happy to get 5 Assault Intercessors. Then we have the Eradicators. I love Eradicators, I think that they look super cool, and those Melta Rifles are awesome. So I really like that unit. And then we have the Invader ATV. It's not the type of miniature that I love, but inside of a Combat Patrol, it's like, okay, if I'm going to get this miniature, it will be now, because it's not the kind of thing that I will buy individually, but inside of a Combat Patrol, it looks much more interesting for me, and it will be okay to have it as part of a Salamander's army. Also, the thing about Combat Patrols is that the range of Space Marine miniatures is huge, and inside of a Combat Patrol we have like a limited amount of miniatures and a very specific choice. So, even if I like it, I know that it's impossible to make everyone happy with the contents of a Combat Patrol, and that's why this is just my opinion. And again, I invite you to let me know in the comments what you think about this new Combat Patrol for the Salamanders. With all of that being said, I don't have much else to say except repeating myself what I already said. So again, I would like to remind you as always that if you like the content and you would like to support the channel and help me to continue growing, I invite you to check the link to my Patreon in the description. And with all of that being said, this is it. This is my opinion about the new Salamanders Combat Patrol. So as always, I hope that you enjoyed the video, and if you are still here, please consider giving me a like and subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.